Welcome to Fouts Boxing Theory. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Usyk versus Dubois, and a pretty awesome performance. Again, what do fights look like when you don't allow people to just duck below the waist and hold? They're all action-packed. They're all slugfests. They're all awesome. So let's keep that going. And there are very few things that you can do to keep yourself safe in a fight other than holding and ducking below the waist and punching your opponent in the face. One of those things is a little bit of lead hand control, and Usyk is a master at lead hand control. And here we see him trying to establish a lead hand control with Usyk, or with Dubois here, giving him a little bit of control and then feinting him. Okay, and he's going to look to get a little bit of control, but Dubois breaks that and doesn't allow him to get to the position which he was going to look to control him, looks to attack him, and that tells him, oh, I have to leave, because the lead hand control is not a very athletic thing, so it allows him to break his rhythm very easily here. Okay, now he's going to leave, okay, and he's going to look to establish lead hand control again, and then leave the line, and then again establish lead hand control, and then again break his rhythm here off of that rhythm and then attack Dubois. Now, Dubois got a little bit of an all-time great flaw going. Notice after he gets on the line with Usyk here, he's been chasing him around for all of 12 seconds in the first round, but watch his feet. He's going to start bouncing around. He's trying to learn how to generate momentum. This is something that Usyk and Lomachenko both kind of do. They do it at a more expert level, but it winds up looking very, very similar in front of your opponent if your opponent can wind up reading it. And Usyk winds up being able to time it very, very easily, landing one of his most signature punches, that jab kind of under or over his opponent's jab with the lead foot dominance while moving his head off the line just a little bit, kind of negating a little bit of the effectiveness of Daniel Dubois' punches of his own, right? So, again, a little bit of lead hand control. Again, lead hand control. Now, take a look at this defensive positions from Usyk. Again, we don't really like these positions. Look at how he kind of parries here. Look at how he's kind of square. Okay, when we talk about being square in front of your opponent, we don't just mean being square with your feet, right? But look at his shoulders here. Notice that this happened twice in a row here against a very dangerous-ish puncher, Daniel Dubois. Okay, now he is going to wind up eating some punches here, but this is because he winds up fighting so bladed. He doesn't actually have very good defense in terms of interacting with punches with his gloves or blocking punches. He's fast. Anyone who's faster than anyone else is going to be able to do any movement, basically, and kind of get away with it a little bit, kind of cheat the rules, right? Just by nature of being faster than your opponent. And you can train being fast. It's not difficult, you know. Check out Fouts Boxing Academy, blah, 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 blah. But more importantly, when you see him, when these rear hands are coming at him, or these potential ones, this is the kind of shot where, isn't this the one where Manny Pacquiao hit Ricky Hatton and knocked him out, and then he went in cold, right? I mean, you're going to get hit here and you're getting stuffed. It's like getting hit by a wall bag, right? Your head and your chin and your neck is a wall bag. You're getting stuffed. There's no give for anything. You know, it's a terrible position. Again, this happens because he's very, very, very bladed in the way that he approaches the line and he lines everything up, that he has this very bladed defense. It hasn't made him, he hasn't had to pay for it yet. But, you know, if he keeps fighting and let's say he moves up in weight, oh, wait. So there's always that thing that, and again, squared shoulders here, the shot comes at him. Is this a good position to be in when your opponent's throwing punches at him? What if he fought a guy who had a really good 2-3? Right? There are a lot of guys in boxing that have really good 2-3s. Daniel Dubois is not really one of the guys that has a really good 2-3, so it doesn't really matter that much. But what about a 2-1? Right? Again, he's really squared here. He's right in the middle of his line. Does he have a good structure? If anybody knows anything about striking, is he able to counter here? No. All-time great flaws. Again, this happens because he's too bladed. Too many of the rules that he's trying to make are from that bladed rule set. Now, lead hand control, and he's going to break into this rear hand. And I want to just talk about how Daniel Dubois is really relaxed here. He's chilling, right? And Alexander Usyk's jumping on his line. Control. He goes to pendulum into this move. Wow! Throws a shot at him, and he's chilling. Because he has the lead hand control here and he knows where Usyk's lead hand is, he knows that the next shot is either going to be breaking in rhythm with the jab or with the rear hand. And either one is just going to make him move a little bit in any direction. It doesn't matter which one. Right? Again, once you establish lead hand control, your opponent has to make a new move to attack you, to alarm you. right? It just doesn't work that way, like they're going to be able to get you with the same shot. Because again, you're already looking to do that, and they're going to do something that's outside the range of touching your lead hand, just like this, right? Again, he's going to give him the rhythm and then leave, and then give him the rhythm. And now Daniel Dubois tries to attack him on the rhythm, and because he hasn't established it yet, Usyk knows that because he didn't get to the position he was going for, all he has to do is just move. So he's like, ah! And then he goes back to it again, touch the lead hand, off the line, and then he goes to establish the rhythm here, and then get Dubois to bring his hand out, and then baps him. Again, use an exploding stepping jab, kind of ducks his head like this. I want to say like the ducking your head thing is like, it's not illegal here. His head is still up, but you want to make sure that you're not putting your head too far down so that you're getting away from counters for free, but a very, very, very good job from Usyk right there. Nice, breaking the rhythm of there to land an excellent, excellent jab. And again, picking Daniel Dubois off a little bit, picking him apart. Now, another one of the moves that you do off of lead hand control, you touch it here, and then you try to break into a rear hand here. Again, establishing the rhythm, and then once you touch lead hands, your opponent has to lead the line. Daniel Dubois sucks. He didn't lead the line fast enough. He gets hit. Ha, 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 ha. He couldn't interact with Usyk fast enough for what he was doing. And again, it's the same pattern as with the jab, but he threw a rear hand instead. Right, and again, look at him look to establish the jab or the lead hand control, boop, and then he gets Dubois to look, boop, and then he leaves the position instead of touching Dubois' hand, and then again does the same thing, and then breaks into it instead of allowing him to touch his lead hand. He breaks the rhythm and then explodes into another jab. Some excellent, excellent work from Usyk. Now, feinting again, controlling. Now again, it's very important, right? Oof. Look at how crazy that is, right? Daniel Dubois swinging hands at you. Imagine you're the guy in the ring that's got to defend that, right? You're the guy. So what are you going to do, right? Well, you're going to feint the guy. You're going to give him, whoa. Hey, what do you think about that? What do you think about that jab? And then now he thinks you're doing a stepping jab because Usyk almost always throws his stepping jab or throws a stepping with his jab. He just does, almost always, right? So he thinks he's going to close the distance with his jab right there, and it sets him off to throw his big one, pendulum two. Boom, throws that shot. Now, Usyk he's not in position to counter himself, but this is one of those all-time great skills, being able to feint your opponent, right? Off your rhythm, off of your active guard, and does it again. Boom, gets him to go. Again, throws a little tiny probing jab here, gets him to go and jump into this shot. Now, one of the all-time great flaws, okay? Daniel Dubois, how good is his post-punch defense here? He just threw that shot. Whoa. Both of his feet happen to come up off the ground, and he winds up over-penduluming, following his momentum into the shot too much. Okay? Pay very close attention to this because it's a minute and a half in the fight, and Alexander Usyk just realized how easy this fight was going to be. Okay, this is going to be a major, major, major thing because Daniel Dubois doesn't have any post-punch defense. He doesn't know how to practice it or this or that, whatever it is in his training. He doesn't think about it. He only thinks, oh, man, I'm just a big, strong guy. I'm just going to knock everybody out as soon as I get my hands on him. It doesn't matter. It's not working here. And there's a big gap after he throws that big swinging shot where he's in the air. And it doesn't matter if you throw some blue magic at your opponent or some red dog shit. It doesn't matter. At this point, if your opponent's literally in the air, it doesn't matter how fast you are or this or this or that. If you feinted and you probed and you got your opponent to lunge and throw punches at you, it doesn't matter how fast you are. You have as much time as he's off the ground, as he's out of position. You don't have to be a great striker if you can outfight a great striker. But it's going to be fucking hard. Very, very, very hard. If you want to become a great striker, check out the Fouts Boxing Combat System. I'm the only coach in history to ever be able to figure out punching power, how punching power works, and how to become a great striker. I can teach you to become like Ryan Garcia. Okay, check it out. Check out the Discord. There's pros in there. There's amateurs. There's all kinds of stuff. It's really cool stuff. Okay, now, again, all-time great stuff. Throwing that jab. He's stepping in. Boom, boom. Throwing this rear hand. Now, I just wanted to point this clip out here, okay? Again, Alexander Usyk doesn't really move his head, and he doesn't really block punches very well. And here, this parrying thing is very, very dangerous. If you're wrong, your opponent might clip you with a rear hook. Again, Daniel Dubois, he's only an okay, like, average, kind of like eye kind of fighter. He's not a great fighter. He's not an all-time great. He's one of the guys that's like kind of worked hard enough to be kind of a champion at this weight class, and it's fine, but he's not like an all-time great world-class fighter. Now, again, he's trying to establish lead hand control. Daniel Dubois is not interested, so he throws a kind of a lunging jab here. Not super effective. It kind of maybe touches him on the chest. But again, Usyk, because he's looking to get the lead hand control, is anything that's not lead hand control is going to set off his alarm bell. So now he gives him a little bit of lead hand control and then breaks into this rear hand. But Daniel Dubois was looking for lead hand control there. Oh, so when the rear hand comes, he's basically at 0, and he's like, that's kind of scary. But he was kind of ready for it. Again, what was happening, what was going to happen after that shot was not what happened. So it wound up being something he was able to interact with and see coming very easily. Now, Daniel Dubois kind of hunting here, coming forward. Give him a hard stepping jab, boom, and pushes Alexander Usyk off of his line. And now he's going to jump on the line with the 1. And Alexander Usyk's going to try to interact with it. And it winds up being a 1-2 here. Now, I want to point out, Daniel Dubois is kind of fainting. Feints him. Look at what kind of reaction he gets from Usyk. So now he's going to come forward. Feints him again. Boom. Gives him a hard jab. And again, look at him push him off the line. Look at him push him off balance. So he makes Usyk think that this is going to be a hard shot, that he has to interact with it. I better block this. And now, because he's trying to block with it and push his arm, right, and interact with this hand, it allows Daniel Dubois to land this shot. This is an all-time great skill right here. Really, 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 really great shot here. And if Daniel Dubois was a better puncher, separate from being a good boxer, because he just showed good boxer right here. He just showed excellent level. Because what did he do? He landed a punch on one of the hardest fighters in boxing to land a punch on. It's not Shakur Stevenson. We just saw him fight a guy who literally can't throw a hook to save his life. He can just spam punches from the same angle and get hit all night long. 30% accuracy that guy had against Shakur Stevenson. There's no defense there. That's not what that means anymore. He was just running all the other time. It's 30% defense. That's what he's got. And against the guy who can't throw a hook. Now, Alexander Usyk, best defense in boxing. He's moving his head. He's doing this. He's pull countering. He's also crashing his hands into people. He's smashing them. He's hitting them so hard. He's knocking dudes out. He's knocking dudes down. He's hurting guys. Okay? It's good defense. Okay? Good defense is when your opponent thinks, I'm going to get on this guy's line and I'm going to hit him. And then you realize that, wait, he can hit me back and it matters. That's good defense. You got built-in defense right there. Okay? Good defense, right? Think about it just for a second. Boom, boom, stepping in with those jabs again, just like he did before. And I just want to talk about, again, the lead hand control, all-time great skill. He's in there waiting for Daniel Dubois. Boom, boom, moving his head. Now, again, Daniel Dubois is expecting the ring to be cut off. He's expecting Usyk to make a move first, to go first. Usyk kind of has to, right? Usyk's the one that doesn't want to be challenging the bigger, stronger guy on the line going 50-50. Even though he's a better puncher than Daniel Dubois he is. He doesn't want to do that. It's not within his best interest. That's in Daniel Dubois' best interest, because that's the only way that Daniel Dubois wins the fight. He doesn't win the fight boxing, right? We know he has to slug. So Alexander Usyk has to do his best not to do that. So he's doing a great job of interacting with the lead hand and then being aware of the rear hand. Right? And again, working off of it, Daniel Dubois finally does a good job of interacting with the lead hand to get him out of position. And again, all-time great flaw. He pivots on the front foot, and it nearly costs him. It kind of does cost him. It's very, very difficult to see, but it kind of looks like it gets him right through the guard right here. Boom. Okay, and it's not the hardest shot, but again, it's not important that it's the hardest shot. It's the first round. They're just, trying to figure out what they're going to be doing later really, really, really hard. But they're going to be doing this stuff. Maybe not the hardest, but, maybe hard later. Now, beautiful shot here. He's getting that rhythm from Daniel Dubois, gives him a little bit of control, and then Daniel Dubois tries to break into a jab, and he kind of slips that jab and then throws a rear hand. Beautiful, beautiful work from Usyk. I just wanted to kind of highlight that. No story or anything right there, just beautiful work. Now, Daniel Dubois getting controlled, and then he gets broken into with this hook, and then again tries to take a step off the line, has very, very, very bad defense. And look at where his rear hand is. Look at how he's trying to parry with both hands and gets whacked by the first solid punch of the fight. Again, this is a very, very similar thing that Alexander Usyk is doing when the rear hand comes, where he's kind of sweeping his hands out in front of him to try to hope to interact with it in case it's a rear, it's a straight rear hand, not a hook, right? So you can parry it, but it's very dangerous, right? We just saw how dangerous it is because the shorter Alexander Usyk was able to land it against the taller Daniel Dubois. It's very, very, very important. Okay, this clip decided to open up. So he gets on the line with a feint here, okay? And then he's going to get on the line with a feinting jab here. And Alexander Usyk is trying to pivot on the front foot here. Boom, boom, and gets walked into a hook right there off of a 2-3. Doesn't wind up being the most significant punch, but again, Daniel Dubois is not the most significant puncher, and we're not training to beat not the most significant punchers in the division. We're training to beat everybody, right? Now, Alexander Usyk getting on the line, trying to pepper him with a little bit of lead hand control. Hey, get out of here. And then throwing a 2. And now he's going to throw a leaping shot here, boom, and then follow it up with a big pendulum 2 here off of the leap. Beautiful work to follow the momentum to keep it going. It's an all-time great skill. If you want to learn how to do that, I have drills in my Fouts Boxing Academy to teach you how to do that. In my Boxing is a Dance section. But because he expended so much energy, it was so taxing on him to do that, his post-punch defense was not that good, and it looks like he gets hit with a hook at the end of that sequence. No big deal. He still winds up winning the fight. Now, he's going to jump on the line here. Boom, body jab. And Daniel Dubois is controlling him here. And he's also going to have time for a rear hand catch and counter style shot where he kind of got hit more so than caught, right? But get hit and counter, very important for later. Okay? Now, beautiful shot again. Timing Daniel Dubois' stepping jab thing. Boom. And breaking into that rear hand. Excellent, excellent work. Again, kind of just schooling and dominating him. Now, Daniel Dubois jumps on the line with a 1-2. And again, what happens when he throws the 2? He winds up shifting forward, and there's extra space there. Alexander Usyk, is he in a good position, you guys? Is this the position that we want to be in when we're blocking punches? Is this it? Look at this neck right here, right? Isn't that the thing that, like, if you're in the wild, if you're a wild animal, you want to protect your neck? You can't expose your neck to your opponent. He's going to bite you. I know it's against the rules, but, like, something about this just has to scream, ugh. Right? But anyway, he's trying to pivot on the front foot. Okay? And again, it's very, very, very important to point it out. He's going to keep trying to do it. Again, here he goes again. Right? Again, it's an all-time great mistake. It's going to cost him some punches later. But again, it winds up being whose all-time great mistakes wind up costing him more punches than the other guy. Now, Usyk's going to get on the line here, and you see the position that he gets into? Oh, he kind of waits there for a second and then leaves. And then he gets to the same position, waits, and he's going to slip to the front foot when Daniel Dubois attacks it and takes the bait. Beautiful, beautiful work from Usyk. Getting his opponent to throw a punch at air here. Beautiful. And then getting off the line here, not having to pay for it. You know, all-time great skill. Not exactly the way you want to draw it up, because if you're going to get your opponent to throw a stupid-ass punch at you, you might as well just counter them too. A little bit of an active guard. Oh, and then following him back. And again, one of the flaws of always having a stepping jab, okay? He's getting controlled. Look at the little feint from Dubois. And then he's going to come forward with a stepping jab here that gets easily parried, double parried by Usyk. And then he gets controlled as he's trying to exit the line. And a rear hand gets stolen from the a rear hand to the body gets stolen by Usyk. Beautiful, beautiful work from Usyk. Really, 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 really cool stuff. And again, that's not how you want to be countering a stepping jab. But again, you can hit him with the red dog shit if your opponent's slow. It doesn't matter what you do. If you get your opponent out of position, they throw some bad punches at him, you don't got to hit him with the blue magic. Okay? Feinting him, control. Now again, doing a great job of getting him to throw that shot. Excellent little pull counter right there for Usyk. Even though he didn't land it hard or whatever, it was excellent work. Getting under that shot. Now again, Very, very dangerous. Usyk sacrifices his position. Stepping jab comes forward. Daniel Dubois coils and explodes out of this shot in time to still be able to interact with Usyk. But again, Usyk's post-punch defense, not always that good. Stepping stuff, when you're sliding in like that, not always the easiest to defend either, because you got to step out so quickly. But Daniel Dubois, if he tried to step out right there, Daniel Dubois might have caught him. Very, very dangerous move there from Usyk. Maybe the juice not worth the squeeze on that one. Now, coming forward, gives him a stepping jab 1 and throws a 2, kind of whacks him here. Very, very good shot. Feinting him here. Control. Boom. And then throwing that shot. Now again, you can hit him with the red dog shit. Okay? The guy throws the shot here. He's trying to counter you. Finally get him out of position. Feint him here. Get him to throw the 1-2. He's jumping off the line. But look at him. He's in the air with this 1 and this 2. He's basically in the air. Okay? Again, you have so much time. It's not necessarily that what Usyk is doing is the best thing. It's not. Right? Again, Alexander Usyk is one of those guys who doesn't really pull and get down. He pulls and he moves straight back and he stays tall. And it's like you staying taller than the guy who's taller than you. Now, again, look at these little pull counters here that are coming here, right? Control, pull, control, pull. Look at this margin here. Wow. Right? And then feint, and then gets him to throw the 2, and then again, he has so much space. Red dog shit. Psh, and smashes him with a good shot while he's making this, again, fatal mistake, this all-time great mistake of having too much momentum off of this shot. Both of his feet are off the ground. He gets hit with a really, really, really hard shot. And it just so happens that Alexander Usyk hits him with the blue magic with that shot and not the red dog shit. Again, excellent lead hand control. Pushes him off the line, gets him with a good rear hand. And I want to point out, even though he gets him with that shot right here, right? Again, he gets to the line, feints him, throws the 1, and then gets on the line with the 1, boom. And then gets the lead hand control from Usyk, whacks him here, right? Maybe he's parrying it. But I wanted to point out more so than anything, the excellent post-punch defense again from Usyk. Even when the shot comes, he knows, oh, I have all this time because Dubois is slow to follow up. And even if he's getting hit or not getting hit, whatever you think there, it's tough to see, Pivoting on the front foot, almost has to pay for it. It winds up being an all-time great skill to understand how to use that space, right, and get value out of it. Boom, pivoting on the front foot, getting walked into a 2-3 again. He just wants to be wasting time right now and resting, and that pivot on the front foot is causing him to have to interact with more punches than he wants to. Now, all-time great skill and flaw here. Whacking him with the hook real quick. Now, Daniel Dubois on the right side of the line is going to try to cross to the left side of the line in order to throw his rear hand. He has to do that in interacting with Alexander Usyk's hook here. Now, Alexander Usyk is a bladed stance fighter. He just bounces, jumping back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes he slips to the front foot, sometimes, but not usually while he's punching exactly. And here, this winds up being one of those bladed stance problems. Right? Where if he was using his front foot, maybe he could bring his weight to the right side of the line, and then when that shot comes, he could slip to the left side of the line and actually hit Dubois with a good shot, something that's more than an arm punch, because we can very, very, very clearly see he's getting him here, but when you get a guy that clean, you should drop him. You should knock him out. You should hurt him, right? Right? There's a little bit of head movement, and again, this is what I wanted to point out here in this clip. I just wanted to highlight that. This is what the head movement looks like. Again, if he could just bait a shot here and then throw his left hook instead, right, from that position. Now, again, very, very squared, coming forward, 2-3. Again, very, very, very dangerous for him. And again, his circling, right, because he's trying to get out of this zone. He's trying not to move back into the ropes. Again, one of those problems that kept making him have to interact with more punches than he normally has to. Now, all-time great flaws, okay? What do we know about Daniel Dubois here? Well, look at his goddamn hands, okay? Alexander Usyk gets on the line and just punches him in the face. He just says, man, you know what? It doesn't even matter. I'm just going to go kind of as fast as I can right here. Poof. Doesn't matter if I hit him that hard. I'm just going to go, bah, and gets him. Okay? All-time great flaw. Watch that flaw compile over the course of a 12-round fight. Or rather, how many rounds is this fight? Now again, Alexander Usyk doing a great job, control, staying composed, throws a rear hand probe. Daniel Dubois interacts with it very, very well. Throws a hooking probe here. Again, not the hardest shot. Gets Daniel Dubois throw a 1-2. He jumps off the line, throws that shot, and this time just happens to be a little bit of that razzle-dazzle, blue magic, boom, and hits him with a really good shot. Excellent instincts right there from Daniel Dubois to move his head and throw a body shot to try to occupy Alexander Usyk, right? Because that was a really, really good shot from Alexander Usyk. That was a fantastic shot right there. Now, this is defensive responsibility here. Okay, I love this here. He throws a 1-2 as a counter here. Daniel Dubois re-enters the line, throws the 1, and then if a 1-2 came, he moves his head. But it didn't come. But now he has to worry that something's going to come to this position, so he re-moves to this position. It does wind up costing him a punch, but hey, it's better than getting hit by that rear hand by staying in this position here and getting cracked, right? Like if Deontay Wilder threw a 1-2 at you, right? I'd rather move away from that and then eat maybe a random crappy body shot. 1-2, pull, comes up with the shot, but the only reason this doesn't work is because Daniel Dubois winds up throwing a combination instead of just punching one at a time. Boom, throws a 1-2. Again, pull counters are weak to 1-2s or combination punching. You will be able to pull counter your opponent throwing single punches at your line, trying to control you and get free stuff off. You will be able to pull counter easy. Combinations will be more difficult, but you can still beat them. You can. You just got to be really good. Again, not the best defense from Alexander Usyk, getting hit cleanly with that little cross right there. Boom, control, whack. Again, not the hardest shot, but definitely landing. And again, same thing with the hook right there. Just not getting the most amount of value. And I just want to point out, look at his positioning here, right? When he throws it, his head's there, and now it moves there. Again, look at how far away his feet are, right? Again, his head doesn't move that much. He's really not getting that much value out of the shot at all. It's kind of just an arm punch. But again, his hands are down here. They're not really up. And he just jumps in. Boom. Hits him with a really, really good jab. Now, catch and counter timing. Boom. Look at how he caught that punch right there. Didn't say what we had to catch it with. Boom. Counter. Excellent. Counters him with a really, really good shot. All-time great skills on both sides. But when we talk about all-time great flaws, boom, he had to do this with a jab like this, but while penduluming into it here. Again, he doesn't really know how to do it just as a stepping jab or this or whatever. Or he's just doing it to conserve so much energy, right? Because there's a lot of energy to do everything perfect, every single sequence. It's really difficult. You have to be in incredible shape. So maybe he's not trying to do that. Trying to pivot on the front foot, gets his way to the front foot, gets controlled by a jab, boom, boom, and gets hit by a 2. Again, against a good striker, you can't afford that. You're not allowed to pivot on the front foot like that. It just doesn't work. Now, coming forward with a 2, again, look at all that space after that shot, boom. Again, Usyk waiting, boom, boom, excellent shot there. Just some like really, really high level stuff here from Usyk. I just wanted to highlight some of that stuff, but looking good. And again, hands down, very, very, very important. Alexander Usyk knows he can land this punch against Daniel Dubois almost any time he wants to. Control, control, control. Pops him right in the nose. And then, again, the difference between fighting on the layers and not fighting on the layers, right? Here is Usyk controlling on the lead hand, right? Control, control. Oh, I was a little faster than you. Okay, go. And then Daniel Dubois just trying to interact with him as he gets to the front foot, exploding into this shot. Nothing subtle about it. And Usyk's able to read it like a book. He sees it coming a mile away. And again, very, very basic. Lead hand control, boom. And then tries to break into the 2. Daniel Dubois pulls. Excellent shot. All-time great skill. Does wind up landing up like a tiny, tiny, tiny little itty bit low. But Usyk's trunks are also high, so who cares? Breaking his rhythm to throw that little stepping jab, feinting him here, and then boom, landing an excellent, excellent shot here. And again, feinting him, controlling him. Boom, pushes him to the front foot. Where's his head going to go after that? Moves to the back foot, and then he just whacks him. Again, Daniel Dubois is kind of, I want to say, an orthodox, shitty version of Alexander Usyk with all of that bladed stuff. Yeah, again, you have to be able to move your head. You have to be able to cross your own line. If you can't do that kind of stuff, your opponent's easily going to be able to just, surprise you with a really hard shot. Now, here's Daniel Dubois pivoting on the front foot and getting hit by a jab, and he's going to move off the line, pivot on the front foot, and he gets hit with a 3 into a 2 here. Really, really hard shot. Again, it's an all-time great flaw, and there it is. In the 5th round, in a fight that he's losing, hitting him really hard in a fight that he just really wishes it wasn't happening. Now, again, control, boom, boom, steps in. Again, if it can happen to Dubois, this could happen to Usyk as well if he fought someone as good as a striker, because again, the actual defense winds up being very, very poor here. But again, excellent control and excellent work from Usyk, regardless of whether or not Daniel Dubois is showing himself to be a bum. Boom, throwing that shot, and then again, control, whacking, beautiful work. Just want to show that off a little bit. Yeah. Penduluming in. Now again, all-time great flaw, all-time great skill, really good timing. He's faster than Daniel Dubois. Jab, he pendulums in. He doesn't know how to move his head. And again, because his head doesn't move when he throws this punch, Daniel Dubois is able to land that. If he was as much of an animal as Usyk, he'd be able to get this fight over with that shot. Right? But he's not. He's not as good at technique. He's a little bit slower, all that good stuff. And Usyk winds up, being able to eat that shot and land his own shot, and then land this follow-up shot here again. Boom, boom, throws that shot. How much space is there after Daniel Dubois throws a rear hand? Almost unlimited. So he gets hit with a 2-3 here, and then winds up going down. And that's the end of the fight. Pretty good performance from Alexander Usyk. Again, it was very, very high energy, fast pace. He wound up getting him out of there in a pretty, not only a reasonable time, but with some hard shots. He landed some hard shots. He did a great job at working Daniel Dubois, tiring him out, and then finding the hard shots to land. Really, really good performance. There are still a lot of all-time great flaws in there. There are still a lot of things that you can look at and take advantage. But Alexander Usyk is a good fighter. So his plus-minus margin is always going to be, in his favor. Maybe even in a fight that he loses, he might land more punches. Meaning, it might just be that the only guy that can beat him is someone that can knock him out.